Hello everyone and welcome to this FPL Game Week 1 live stream with me, Holly Shand. Very exciting video ahead with just one day left until the start of the Premier League season. In this video I'm going to be updating you with my latest draft. I'm also going to be rating your teams and answering your questions. So it's been a while since I've done a stream. I've moved house, so hopefully I've got the fast internet and the tech to keep this going. So do let me know if everything is working, because I am a little bit rusty, but hopefully you will enjoy the stream. I can see a few of you saying hello already. If you are here, make sure you're voting in the poll and also having a look through at the liking the stream and looking at my latest draft. So I'm going to start off today then by looking at my latest draft for FPL Game Week 1. I've made a few changes since the last video because of the goalkeeper situation. So I'm still torn a little bit on this, but at the moment I've gone with 2 4 million goalkeepers in the Leicester goalkeepers. We think Danny Ward will be first choice. He has come back from an injury, so there's a chance that Iverson will start Game Week 1 just due to fitness. So the dilemma for me was, I was on Raya before, the dilemma was whether to go with Sanchez, who rotates nicely with Ward, for 8.5 million, or just to go Ward and Iverson for 8 million. And I've thought long and hard about this, and generally my strategy for goalkeepers at the start of the season is to spend as little money as possible and try and get a 4.5 million goalkeeper, the best 4.5 million goalkeeper I can find from the clubs on offer, and then the 4 million backup. However, in this case, I can get a 4 million goalkeeper from a Leicester side who are a top half side in the Premier League and the backup as well. So I think in my head I'm happy. However, because I've saved that money, it's now very difficult to know where to spend the money. And this draft may be looking a little bit strange to you, but I'll explain my thought process to you. But yeah, so I've just decided to spend as little as possible. I know Leicester's defence wasn't great last season, and I know that's a little bit of an issue. However, we do need to think about the amount of injuries that Leicester defence had last season as well. The number of players they had out that are now back and available. I mean, for example, if I just get some minutes up on the screen just so that I've got the exact figures for you. But if you look at the likes of Johnny Evans, for example, who is like a big part of that Leicester defence, he didn't play barely any minutes last season. So, you know, just having him back is going to be a big thing. So Johnny Evans played 1,346 minutes. Soonchu only 2,500 minutes. That's the first choice centre-back pairing. We had a Marty getting minutes, which was not great. Justin was out for most of the season, played less than 1,000 minutes. Fofana only played 630 minutes. So these are the types of players that are going to come back in that are going to be good options to improve that Leicester defence. So for me, I'm hopeful that we can get some big performances out of that Leicester defence. To be honest, the fixtures are a little bit tricky at the start of the season, so that does raise a slight concern for me. Brentford, Arsenal, Southampton, Chelsea, Manchester United, Brighton, Aston Villa, Spurs in the first 8. However, there's plenty of potential there for save points as well as clean sheet points. Danny Ward has been waiting for this opportunity for a while. The risk, obviously, is if Leicester do sign a new number 1 goalkeeper in a transfer window. There's been talk about, you know, Dubravka coming from Newcastle United with a switch from Maddison, but that hasn't materialised yet, and I think that's just all discussion so that Maddison forces the hands of the Foxes owners and gets himself a new contract. So that's where I'm at with goalkeepers. I already had 500,000 in the bank on my previous draft, so that took me to 1 million in the bank. And at one point I had 1.5 million in the bank because I am stuttering a little bit on Perisic. His fitness is a little bit of a concern, and the fact that he plays Chelsea in Game Week 2 is a little bit of an issue as well. And I want to be flexible in being able to go Kane to Haaland, so I'm not against having 0.5 million in the bank, but to have 1 million or 1.5 million, it just felt too much. So that's why I've tried to spend the funds. I've actually got no money in the bank on this draft, but that doesn't worry me too much because even though I haven't got money in the bank, I've got a very good first substitute because I've brought in Kyle Walker instead of Neco Williams to spend that extra 1 million that I had. And, you know, the thing that was putting me off the double City defence, well, there's a few things. Laporte being absent is a little bit of a concern. I mean, I could have gone Reece James instead of Perisic as well, so that was another option that I could have gone for. I just don't trust the Chelsea defence at the moment. So I've lost my train of thought now, what I was saying. I think for me, the reason I wasn't that keen on Walker and doubling up on the Manchester City defence is that it's West Ham in game week 1. However, game week 2, I can replace Perisic in my starting 11 who plays Chelsea with Walker who plays Bournemouth at home. And I'm probably going to make that move of Kane to Haaland in game week 2. But it doesn't matter that I've not got the funds in the bank because I can make that move before the price changes. I can do it on, you know, Saturday or Sunday in anticipation of game week 2 if I feel like that's the move I want to make. But I've got flexibility even though I've not got funds in the bank because I've got a good first substitute. Because then looking further down the line in game week 3, we've got Neto playing Spurs away. Don't really want to play Neto in that fixture. Again, I can play Walker and play a 5-3-2 that week, and then Leon Bailey in game week 4 plays West Ham, game week 5 Arsenal. I mean, this could be a prime spot to move Leon Bailey on, to be fair, but at the moment I'm thinking I may just keep Walker for a bit and then be a bit more fluid in my formation. So some weeks it'll be a 5-3-2, some weeks it'll be a 4-4-2, but I've made up for not having the funds in the bank. So do let me know in the comments what you do think to this team. And by the way, I have launched memberships on the channel as well for this season, so if you want to get involved and be a channel member, you get cool emojis in the live chat. I'll be doing a live stream every week this season, and as well as that you will also get at the premium tier access to my Discord channel as well. Private Discord is a really great place to talk to other fantasy managers, so that's just something to think about. But yeah, this is the team that I'm on at the moment. I mean, I could go back and put Neco Williams back in for Cancelo, possibly upgrade Perisic to James. I'd really love Son, but I want to have the flexibility of going Kane to Haaland. I'm not going into game week 2 thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have Kevin De Bruyne, which is why I've gone off Son as an option. I want to have that premium midfielder, premium forward. Captaincy as well. This is something that I wanted to talk to you guys about. I mean, I think probably the main reason why I'm not going to do it is I've just not got enough time to think about it between now and the deadline, because it is just, you know, ridiculously busy at the moment. But triple captain Salah, it really needs to be a consideration. If you look at Salah's record, he scored in every single game week 1 fixture for Liverpool. That's 5 consecutive seasons where he scored in game week 1. 4 of those seasons he's got a double-digit haul, including the times he's played promoted teams and including times he's played on the road. Now, I did post on Twitter a view of the whole season calendar because we have got some provisional dates for blanks and doubles later in the season. We're forecast, let me just see if I can get this up on Twitter actually, because I think I've just shared it, so it should be a good one to look at. Hopefully this will all work on your screens. If you don't follow me on Twitter, by the way, it's @HollyShand. This is the season calendar. I don't know if you're going to quite be able to see that, but what we're expecting is blank game weeks in 25, 28 and 32, and then double game weeks in, I think if I view it like that, you'll be able to see it, and then double game weeks in, where are we? I've not scrolled. 29, 34 and 37. So we've got 3 blank game weeks this season, 3 double game weeks this season. Now, if we think about the chips, we've got wildcard free hit, triple captain, bench boost. It's likely that, you know, we may choose to play the free hit in a blank game week, and then that leaves us the wildcard, the free hit, the bench boost and the triple captain. There's only 3 more double game weeks left, so there's no guarantees that there'll be an obvious triple captain candidate for those. I know we had a gift last season with Mo Salah. However, there's no guarantees that in one of those doubles where a week we want to play the triple captain, we've got a premium player available to us. So that's why I'm not against playing it in a single game week in game week 1. We know how strongly Mo Salah starts the season. I think last campaign he blanked in maybe 1 or 2 of his opening 16 or 17 fixtures, and we know that he starts the season strongly, especially when he's had that full pre-season as well. Thinking back to last season, he had that full pre-season. We did see him go off the boil after the African Cup of Nations, but I think Mane and Salah played more competitive games across domestic competitions, league and country than any other player last season. So it's no wonder we saw that drop off in form towards the tail end of last season. But, you know, he's got his new Liverpool contract now. So it is something I'm thinking about. Whether I actually go for it or not, I don't know. I'm probably 50-50, but it may be that I'll just feel like, you know, it's been so crazy going up to that game week 1 deadline that I'm just not going to have time to think, is this something that I really want to do? But that is where I'm at with my game week 1 team. Right, before we get into questions then, I just want to chat to you about, let me get onto the right screen, hopefully this is all coming up for you guys and you can see it. I just wanted to chat to you about my mini league. Mini league code is on your screen now, 96EPMP. If you aren't in the mini league already, please do join it. And, you know, it's going to be a great mini league this season. Unfortunately, no prizes. Premier League have changed their rules for this coming season to say that you can't have cash mini leagues or mini leagues with prizes, else you run the risk of getting banned. So for me, I couldn't do a league with a good prize this season, which I'm disappointed that I couldn't. However, you know, it's still going to be a competitive league. Last time I looked, there was about 20,000 managers in there, so it's certainly going to be an exciting one to get involved with this season. I can see there's 94 of you in, like hopefully we'll pass 100 soon. If you are in and you're enjoying it, please hit the like button. I'm going to get into the chat now, see what questions you guys have got for me ahead of the deadline. Obviously we've not got much time left. We have got all managers' press conferences still to come, so that could be quite enlightening in terms of what's going to happen, who's available, who isn't available, and which options we need to go for. So that's something that we need to consider as well. And I've also got that poll live as well, asking you how many Arsenal players will you own in game week 1, because I could have the opportunity myself of going with triple Arsenal if I ditch Walker. So that's something I'm considering. And also, if you want your team rating later in this video, if you check out the tweet that I've just posted at Hollyshand, put your draft in there, and then hopefully I'll be able to get some of them on the screen as well so that you can see what is going on. SIGNUP says hello. Hello, Niraj is hello. Thoughts on getting one or both of the 4 million goalkeepers from Leicester? Hopefully I've covered that question for you. Hello, MacD. Hello, Niraj. Hello to everyone, really. There's lots of you in. A question from Niraj. This is my dilemma. Either stick with Ramsdale or get both Leicester goalkeepers for 4 million each. I mean, there's a reason why you've chosen to spend 5 million on a goalkeeper in Ramsdale. Hopefully you think he's going to offer you more as a premium goalkeeper or a mid-price goalkeeper than a cheap goalkeeper as well. So if you've made that decision, I think the compromise could be looking to save 0.5 by looking at the rotation of Sanchez and Ward. That would be the first point that I'd look at. But I did see a stat somewhere, and I haven't double checked it, so do forgive me, but I saw a stat that, you know, among the goalkeepers last season, there wasn't that much of a difference in terms of points scored. Obviously take the premiums out of the equation of Alisson, Lloris and Edison, but if you go for Jose Sarr, he was the 4th scoring goalkeeper last season, 146 points, down to Pickford, who had an atrocious season and got 116 points. That just shows you the capabilities of these goalkeepers and the differences in price you get as you go up the money. So I think there was 20 points between Ramsdale and Pickford on points last season, for example, just to give you an idea of how those pricings can work. So that is certainly something that may sway your decisions for this keeper dilemma. Darren said, is Walker a good option to get into the City defence as a short-term punt? And I think if you're going with a Man City player in general to start the season, I think Cancelo is the easiest to own. Obviously, Haaland or De Bruyne are the premium attackers to go with for the start of the season. And then if you're looking at maybe switching onto one of them in game week 2, then that is also a good option as well. But I wouldn't be getting Walker as my first choice into the Man City defence. I think it's okay as a double up like what I've shown, but I'm not that sure if I'd be comfortable personally starting with 2 Man City defenders for game week 1, given the fixture. So for me, that's just something that you may need to consider in there. But it is, it could be plausible, but I do think there's maybe a few better options in there. FPL River is in. Hello. Mohammed says Neto or Bruno G. Neto for me. Yeah, FPL Penguin has seen the tweet that I saw from Ben Dinnery. To be fair, I did jump on that tweet and think, oh no, Perisic isn't going to start. However, I think that comment from Conte was made last week. There isn't any new information yet, so we'll see what's said in Conte's press conference. I've not seen any press conference times yet, which is a little bit worrying. Islam said, go with Cash rather than Dean. Yeah, I think Cash and Dean, it's a tough one. Dean's got more of an assist threat. Cash more of a goal threat. He does like to shoot on sight. Cash is less injured, and I think that's why a lot of people are going Cash over Dean. Hood FIFA says, what is the love for the 4 million goalkeepers? It's just for managers like me that want to spend as little as possible on that position. Steve, hello, welcome back. Quick question, Neto or save the money and get Bailey? That's a tough one. I mean, I was looking at this because I was thinking I could upgrade one of them to Martinelli if I didn't go Walker. I didn't know which one to ditch because I looked at the opening fixtures. I think the thing to consider is that you can start Bailey for all 3 of the opening fixtures for Aston Villa. Neto plays Spurs in game week 3, so it depends what your bench options are looking like in game week 3 with Neto. That would be one thing. Look at how good your first sub is. Look at whether you're wanting to make a move to get on a Man City premium from a Spurs premium game week 1 to 2. That could make the decision as well. So I think I would go Neto if I could, but it does depend on those other factors. Lucid said no Arsenal defenders. Yeah, the Arsenal defence is really difficult at the moment because there's a few options, but they've all got downsides. So, if you want to spend 5 million on a goalkeeper, go Ramsdale. But now we've got these Leicester enablers, that's difficult to justify. I think the Arsenal back 4 at the start of the season will be White in replacement of Tomiyasu, who's been injured. Then centre-backs Gabriel and Saliba. And then Zinchenko on the left. Now, if Zinchenko was out of position, I'd be all over him. I'm not interested in White because he's going to lose his place to Tomiyasu at some point. And he could displace Saliba as the centre-back pairing as well. So that means I'm not interested in either of them. I think if I was to go with any Arsenal defender, it'd be Gabriel because I think he scored more goals than any other defender in the game last season. But it is a tricky one. James said, I thought Iverson is starting game week 1 over Ward. We don't know. Ward is going to be first choice at some point. You would think Iverson might get the early games because he's got better fitness levels right now. Doesn't matter though which one I start. If Ward is benched and Iverson starts, as long as only one of the Leicester goalkeepers gets minutes, they'll auto sub in. Rubber Ducky is in. Hello. Lewis says Barnes or Zaha. Palace have got tough fixtures, but he's been on fire in pre-season, so may just go Zaha. It's really difficult to predict Leicester this season. Had, quite a few departures, not many players come in, but they have got that no European games, which will help them. Oh, Mr. Lucian said Ward is fit and played a behind closed doors pre-season friendly recently. Thank you. That must have been earlier this week then. Fadzil says Kulusevski. Yeah, I had Kulusevski in my first draft. I mean, what I like about my draft at the moment is there's a lot of players in there that I had in my very first draft. So I had Cancelo, Robertson, Trent and Perisic. Can't remember who my 5th defender was now. I feel like it was a 5-4-1. I had Neto, I had Salah. I'd gone Kulusevski, and I think I had De Bruyne in there, but I've U-turned on premiums. I've gone with Kane up front, which means that I wanted Saka in midfield rather than Kulusevski. Neto was in there. Bailey is obviously a new addition, and Gabriel Jesus is in there. But yeah, lots of similarities with the first draft, and I think it's always good when you get to this point in the season to go back to your very first draft and look at what's changed and have a good think about why you've changed it. I think that can really keep you disciplined in terms of how you prepare for game week 1. Lots more hello. Hamza, Saka and Reece James in a back five, or Martinelli and Mount in 4-4-2. Saka and Reece James, I think. Sam, choosing between Robertson and Jesus. Oh, that is a tough one. I mean, we've got 6 million managers registered now. It'll be over 6 now. It moved on to 6 earlier in the season. And earlier today, Gabriel Jesus is in over 70% of teams. Like, to go without him is scary, particularly with the pre-season he's had. However, I do think, you know, if you're going to triple up on any team at the start of the season, it has to be Liverpool, given how good their opening 7 fixtures are. And for me, I'm a Robertson fan over a Luis Diaz fan. And I'll look at those first 7. I know the Manchester United game is red. However, that's the official fixture ticker difficulty rating. I think that fixture is far easier than we've seen. Keep dropping your drafts in and I will get on to rating them, guys. I'm going to get there. I just want to go through a few questions first, and I will get some of the drafts from Twitter as well. Captain Caveman, should I be worried that I've chosen Saka, Jesus and Martinelli? Yeah, it's really tricky, this one. I've looked at it myself. I looked at the Arsenal fixtures though, and how comfortable am I playing all these Arsenal players in some of these fixtures? Just game week 1 and game week 2 to have Crystal Palace away and then Leicester at home. I personally thought that was a little bit much to triple up, because those 2 fixtures aren't easy. Game week 3, game week 4, much better. So I just think 3 for Palace away. Palace are Arsenal's bogey team. They've not won many games against them. I think they've won 1 game against Palace in the last 4 seasons, and the rest have been draws or they've lost. So that's something that we really need to think about. Let's carry on with some of these questions. I'm losing my place in the chat. I'll do my best to keep up, guys. But thank you for having so many of you in and commenting and liking the stream and subscribing. Clinton says, Anderson from Leeds, should we consider him? Yeah, I think he's a really great option. He obviously had great fixtures. If we just have a look, let me just get him up actually on here so that we can see. Where is he? Have I spelt him wrong? Is it double A? But, oh. Have you confused me there and said, yeah, you've said Anderson, Clinton, haven't you? I think you mean Aronson. So this is Leeds' new signing, 5.5 million midfielder. Great fixtures. Wolves, Southampton, Chelsea, obviously in game week 3, not as good. But then Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Forest, United, Villa, Crystal Palace. You know, a nice long-term run of fixtures for him. And he's basically been brought in to fill the void left by Rafinha in terms of his dead ball delivery and what he can create in this Leeds side. I think given the fixtures and the fact that he's going to be on a lot of the set pieces and a little bit of form we saw from him, I think he played 1 game in pre-season that Leeds won like 6-2, something like that. I may be not exactly right, but something like that. I think, you know, for me, we need to be thinking about going for some options from there. Alhawa, happy to see you this season. Sarr wants him forever as your goalkeeper. Yeah, top save percentage last season. He could be worth it. Questions about some other players as well. Ben Tompkins says, is Núñez a good option? There's been a lot of Liverpool fans that have said Núñez may not start game week 1. Now, I know that he didn't start in the Community Shield. I felt that Klopp maybe gave Firmino the game because he wanted to reward those players that got to the FA Cup final and won the FA Cup for Liverpool with the game time. However, some Liverpool fans have said they expect Núñez to be used more of an impact sub on the opening weeks of the season before he gets his start. So for me, right now, I think it's an avoid. I think there's 4 better options than Núñez at Liverpool. Trent and Salah, who are locks in everyone's teams, and rightly so, and then Robertson or Diaz. So I think there's enough question marks there to make you think that you should go elsewhere. Lewis said, Mahrez, Foden or Mount? To be honest with you, I'm avoiding the Man City wingers now. I think if you want a Man City attacker, you have to pay the money and go De Bruyne and Haaland. And if you don't want to do it for game week 1, go Son or Kane in game week 1 and make the switch in game week 2 ready for Bournemouth at home. Mason Mount, though, is another tricky player because, he's had great form over the last few seasons and I think he will have a really good season. Spurs in game week 2, though, isn't easy. I know Everton game week 1 looks like a good one. There's just a few question marks there. Mr. Lucian said FF Scout posted the conference time. That's good. I'll check those out in a minute then. Ajay, Kane or Haaland? Another big question for me. I mean, Haaland scored on his Bundesliga debut, his Champions League debut. We know from the Community Shield how many excellent chances he'll get. West Ham in game week 1 is not an easy fixture though. He is highly owned. Personally, I think get Kane, and then if you want to go Haaland in game week 2, make the switch. That's absolutely fine. But, Southampton at home for Spurs in game week 1, I could just see a silly score in that game. So that's why I would start the season with Kane and then swap to Haaland if you've seen. There's a few things we need to look out for. How bad Bournemouth's defence is. Scott Parker's basically said they've not got any defenders, so that's going to make you want Haaland game week 2, and then how Haaland performs as well. Peter, thank you for joining. Would you go Kulusevski and Robertson or Cancelo and Luis Diaz? Kulusevski and Robertson, easy one for me. Almiron on the bench interchanging with Bailey. Yeah, nice use of the 5 million options there. Samir, Neto or Bailey, I think I've answered that one already. Lewis, is Harvey Barnes a good option? Yes. I'm going to jump into some drafts now then. I don't want to close the wrong tab on here and lose you all and have something on the screen that isn't the stream. But I'm going to get some drafts going. To be honest, I might be best doing it on this window. Let me see what I've got. Honestly, if you follow me on Twitter, guys, thank you for the support, first of all, but, I can barely keep on top of my notifications. They don't all show up. I'll go on my notifications and it'll say after, like, a minute that they can't all display, and I get, like, 5 minutes of notifications and nothing behind, so I've probably missed loads of stuff, which I'm very, very sorry about, but hopefully you'll be able to see the drafts on screen at the moment. So I'm going to try and pick out those that have put a really good quality screenshot on there. There's still time as well. I will put it on the. I'm going to see if I can see any familiar names as well. Right, let me get this up on the right tab. Keep losing my tabs now as well. You can see that I've not done a stream for a while, can't you guys? Sorry about that. Here we go. So, Steve Wheel, I've seen you in already, so let's go for Steve's first. Hopefully, you can't quite see that, can you? If I do it like that, hopefully you can see it. So, Steve has said, 3 big guys, 3-5-2. You see, this is one of my big tips for the start of the season, was to explore different formations, because we've seen how the fullbacks in FPL can change the game, but you have gone with the 3 big guys at the back, as you mentioned, and I can see why you don't fancy other defenders, because it's got to the point where I'm struggling. Spurs fullbacks, Spurs wingbacks, there's question marks there. Chelsea defence in general, question marks there. Arsenal, there's not an obvious one to go for. So you're kind of ruling out a lot of options. So the 3-5-2 you can probably make work. I really like this draft. Aronson would be the one where I think I'm not convinced on Aronson's quality as an FPL asset yet. My theory in FPL is that don't really invest in players from the promoted teams. However, I do think that this is a good draft. Sorry, you've got triple Arsenal, haven't you, as well? You've got Ramsdale in goal, so it is quite big at the back in terms of the guys you've chosen. So I do like this draft. It's quite similar to mine, if I'm honest. Aronson's probably the weak spot. And the other thing is, have you looked at Diogo Dalot, Steve, as well? Because I think if it was going for a 4.5 option, it would be between Dalot and Dunk. And maybe if you have a look at some rotations, that may just help to make a decision. I haven't looked at them myself, but a nice one there. So good to see that, Steve. Let's have a look through. Let me just refresh this as well, because I don't want to miss anyone's. And I can see that a few of you, I'm just going to try and choose people that I've seen in the chat. So do apologise if I've gone past you and you are in. Bradley, 0.5 million in the bank, unsure on Walker, Mount and goalkeeper situation. So hopefully you can see this one. Just scroll down a bit further. Is that going to go any further? So you've got the Ward-Sanchez rotation, which I think is good. You've got double Liverpool defence, double Man City defence, which I like as well. Martinelli and Jesus as the Arsenal attackers. And you've got an 8 million slot in Mount. I do like this draft. I do think you could also consider Saka in there, but maybe that triple up is too much. It's weird, like the season started, the prices got released and there was loads of 8 million options, and we were all thinking, well, we're going to want an 8 million midfielder. And since then, there's downsides that have occurred. You know, Man City's players, rotation. I think Mount is probably one of the ones up there. Maddison, obviously talk of him maybe going to Newcastle in the transfer window means you can't really look at him at the moment either. But I do like this draft. I don't think there would be a lot that I would change in there. It's just whether you stick with the goalkeeper situation. I like Walker. The one thing I would say, Bradley, is the fact that you've doubled up on the Man City defence means that you've got to play both of them this week, which I don't really like. So that would be my only criticism in there. And I don't know how you would solve that situation. Maybe if you went with Neco Williams over Patterson, you could potentially play Williams over Walker, but I'm saying that out loud and that's not even appealing. So I think it's the standard of the fixture for Walker is mainly the thing that puts me off. But other than that, a really, really solid draft. So thank you for sending that in. I'm going to refresh again just in case any of you have put extra teams in there that you'd like to get rated. Just going to try and choose people that I've seen in the chat as well. I've lost some. I've got too many windows open, guys, and I think I need a second screen. I think it's got to that stage. Fayed, I've seen you in here. Have a nice day. I'll go with yours next. Hopefully you can see this. Here we go then. So rate my team and thoughts on Sancho v Rashford. Right, first of all, Sancho v Rashford. Let's talk about this first. Sancho has missed a lot of late pre-season because of an illness. So that for me means just go Rashford, save yourself the 1 million. And then you could use that 1 million elsewhere if you really wanted to. But the only concern would be that you haven't really covered that 8 million midfielder slot. But as we've said already, there's a few question marks in there. I like that you've got the triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool. And I think that Bailey is maybe your only option there from a side outside of last season's top six, which is just crazy that you can afford a big six team this season. So I really like that. But yeah, I would save the million and go Rashford over Sancho, but I'm not too sure where you would use the extra money. I mean, you could go Neto over Bailey if you really wanted to. You could have 0.5 million in the bank and start the season with Kane and go Haaland in game week 2. So there are a few things that you could play about with. And if we get negative comments about Perisic for game week 1, you could put Reece James in there as well. So there's a few things that you could maybe work on, but at the moment I think that looks like a really good squad. Just going to give this a refresh as well, just in case we've got more in, and see who else I can answer. Marcus, I don't know if I've seen Marcus in the chat. FPL unlucky, don't think I've seen you in the chat either. Nikas, I'm not even going to attempt that because I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation. If you are in here and you have dropped your team, just let me know because I don't want to miss someone that's in here on the Rate My Team. I do want to go through a few of them. If you've got different display names though, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for me. I'm just having a look through. I can't see anyone else in particular that has been in here that's also in the chat. I may be wrong though. I may just need to scroll further. There's quite a few in there, wasn't there? Right, let's dive back into some more questions then. I'll put my team back up as well so that you can see that again. It's probably more useful than having Twitter opened. Just have a look at how things are going as well. See how many of you are in here. 93 at the moment. Thank you, everyone. Oh, we've hit 100. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I can see that 50 of you have liked it. If you are in and you haven't liked it, please do. And if you don't subscribe already, please get involved in that as well. So let's have a look. Where did I get up to in terms of the chat? Is Haaland a good option for game week 1? I think we've done that one, haven't we? Patrick King, is Wilson a decent striker option at 7.5 million? Can't find it in me to put Jesus in. I mean, Jesus' ownership is scary. Wilson's a great option though. Home to Forest game week 1. He does have his fitness issues at time, but he could have the potential to start the season strongly. So I'd maybe take the risk there. Mad says Zinchenko and Sanchez and 0.5 in the bank, or Ramsdale and another 5 million defender and nothing in the bank. I think I'd go Ramsdale and the other 5 million defender, maybe Walker or Trippier. Just depends on what options you've got available on your bench as well, because you might not want to play Walker this week. Galactic Hobbit is staying clear of Chelsea and Spurs defenders until after they play each other in game week 2. That is a very sensible decision. I'm going to stay on for another 10 minutes answering questions, guys, so if you've still got some to ask, please get them in. Lewis says, I'm going with 2 8 million midfielders. Who would you advise? Probably Saka and Mount. Steve, I've done your team now, haven't I? Della said, what about Dewsbury Hall at Leicester? Yeah, I think he could be a really good option. He's had a price increase, which makes him a little bit less attractive, but I still think he could be a good option to go for. Doofus says, drop James for Cucurella. I wouldn't do that straight away. I mean, I don't think Cucurella's confirmed. Fabrizio said, here we go. And then there's been a little bit of a U-turn since then, so that's something to keep an eye on. Another defender in that Chelsea team is a bit of a concern. They seem to be signing a lot of defenders. I think Cucurella plays on the opposite flank to James though, so that's something to monitor. I'd probably just go Reece James. I think Reece James got 14 attacking returns last season, and he got the same amount there as Trent and Robertson, played a lot less minutes, so you know, plenty of potential from Reece James. Brian said, why is no one talking about Maddison? I think that those rumours about a move to Leicester have put people off. Mr. Lucian has recommended Rodrigo. Yeah, another option at Leeds to go alongside those great fixtures. And the other thing to consider is he's been reclassified as a midfielder, but he could start the season up front. We've not had a injury update on Bamford yet. Brian, any good 4.5 strikers he'll start? No. The reason why you'll see Greenwood in a lot less teams now is the theory is that once a 4.5 million forward that's popular doesn't start or deliver in the first few game weeks, as managers try to change their formation, they'll get sold, their price will go down. So that's why, you know, I've gone with Archer as a lower owned option, but I think he's getting quite popular as well. I think there's Plange at Crystal Palace, did quite well in pre-season, probably nowhere near the first team, but one to consider. Let's have a look at some other questions. Whoa, the chat's just jumped. Sorry guys, let me get back on it. Lisa, are you sure Perisic will start game week 1? No, absolutely not, it's a risk, but I've got a good first sub. Saka or Mount? I think Saka for me. Martinelli or Bailey? That's a really difficult one. I'd maybe go Martinelli, just something to consider. Let's have a look then, guys, at the poll. So in the poll, it said, how many Arsenal players will you own in game week 1? Only 13% said they'd own one Arsenal player. I mean, the 4% that are going without Arsenal players, it's very brave given the ownership of some of those players. 53% said 2, 31% are tripling up. I'd be interested to know in there how many of those are attacking triple ups, how many of those are defensive triple ups. It's going to be exciting, that's for sure. Right, I'm going to leave the stream there. I just want to speak quickly to you about... Oh, I've got my water bottle in the way, I can't see what I'm doing now. FPLtips.com, which is a new free newsletter that gives you 5-minute roundup of everything in FPL ahead of the deadline. If you want to get involved with that, absolutely free to get involved. Just put your email address in, dead easy, done in a couple of minutes. The link is in the description below to get involved with that. It's run by a great group of guys, FPL Merch, FFH James as well. So if you want to get involved, then please hit the link in the description below. Hope you found this video useful. My last video of pre-season. I may do a quick final team reveal update. I may use some material from this stream for it, but I hope you found it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck for FPL Game Week 1.